I accidentally joined business. I was 19 and I was studying in Boston. Finished 2 out of 4 years, and I came to India for a month, and I was supposed to go and do an internship at a tech startup. And we had a robbery in the office.
Your day one, in fact, would not have been the same as, my day one, right? So can you tell me something about how the day one or the week one of your induction was?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of mixed feelings. One was obviously I was trying to sort of just be a part of the business somehow to see what's happening. I think in family businesses, as you might know better than me, I think if you have a disagreement in the office, that comes on the dining table also.
Correct.
Right?
So over these years, it's almost how many years it has been for you in the business now?
Almost over 19 years now.
Wow. Crazy. So over these 19 years, I'm sure the way you have been taking decisions have evolved significantly, right? How would you comment on the way you have been taking decisions in the first initial years versus the last 4-5 years?
I think
What has changed?
No, it's a great question. I would say that today when we make a decision, we try to do a lot more research on why that decision should be taken. Earlier, I think it was a lot of just gut feel, or somebody said something and we're like, oh my God, this looks interesting, and we just make the decision. Today, I think it's more than the art. We're also trying to bring in a little bit of science behind it. And I think it definitely helps, I think there's no right way to make a decision. That's what I personally believe. But I think if you make it a combination of science and art, I think the chances of failure, reduce drastically.
Yeah. No, as they say, you don't have to make every decision right. You just have to make 7 or 8 decisions right out of 10.
Correct.
And that is where you are called successful.
Absolutely.
So over the last 19 years, I'm sure there have been significant changes in the industry as well, right? Not just your business. But what is that one thing that, which has been very traditional in the way your father operated in this business, which you have sort of still kept intact as is, but, changed the full atmosphere around it? But what is that one thing which you would say that, this has been there for the last so many years, even after I have joined the business?
I think, being personally connected with everybody from the top to the bottom. I somehow feel I'm a little disconnected at this point, but that's something that we've had hierarchies in the organization, but we don't have an hierarchy yet, right? So anybody's allowed to walk into our doors, or anybody's door for that matter. So trying to retain that, it's like combining your family with professionalism, right? So you still have hierarchy and decision making and everything else, but at the same time you still have an open door for anybody to sort of walk in as a family and sort of with any idea or any issue or whatever they might have. So we still try to preserve that, and we really value that.
So I think you talked about professionalism, right? So when I meet a lot of second generation entrepreneurs, they talk about कि हमको business को professionalize करना है, right? Transform करना है, which I fully agree with. But in your view, professionalism should not come at some cost, right? So what is that thing, which you would never be able to let go of for professionalism, right? Jaise in my business, I would say that professionalism would not come at the cost of teacher delivery, teacher quality, right? And student outcomes, right? I would not professionalize the business in a way, or up to an extent where it is sort of starts hampering the student outcomes, right? So in your view, what is that, the cap at which professionalism has to stay? Because beyond that, it will start sort of disturbing the soul of the business, right?
Correct. No, I think you used a great word, the soul.
Yeah.
And, as you start to professionalize, obviously the first few years, I think, are very rough, and it's a learning journey, because you've always used to doing everything, right? And now you're saying, okay, professional will come and run it, and
Yeah.
you have a lot of emotion, heart connected with everything you do, versus they are coming as professionals trying to just do it as a professional without a lot of that. So I think my take on that would be saying that, you should never compromise on the values. So even if you professionalize, I feel a lot of times, like if I say that empathy or respect or treating everybody equally was a value in my organization, even after I professionalize, how do I keep that? I think that's the bar for us, right? Where we say that now that we are professional doesn't mean that somebody working on the floor doesn't have the right anymore to come in my office and talk to me or say anything to me. And so we've tried to retain a little bit of that for sure. And I think to me, you have to have your values, and irrespective of you being professional or family, you have to stick to those values, irrespective.
So was professionalism, easily accepted by the business or the people who were before you in the business, or you had to fight a large battle to keep the business at a certain professional level?
No, we had a huge battle. I mean, obviously there is one side of the old versus the new, right? But also, I'll give you an example. When we were trying to professionalize, we hired people from one of the top MBA institutes in the country. And this guy was hired in sales because we were thinking we'll start selling this and that. And once we started in the first week, he's like, I'll not talk to the guy on the shop floor. मैं उससे बात नहीं करूँगा लड़के से. This is not my job. And I was shocked because I have learned my work from these guys. I know all of their names. And this guy joining in the sales team is saying that he will not even talk to them. And obviously, it was a little shocking, but it was very clear that, those kind of people will not, I mean, I have to either teach him to say that this will not work here, or, this is not the right place for you to work. So we had our fair bit of challenges, to professionalize. I think the biggest mistake we made was we were trying to professionalize without telling the professionals that this is non-negotiable. Right? So they would come with a certain expectation of saying that we were like, oh my God, we want to professionalize, and you come and change everything without telling them what not to do.
What not to touch.
Exactly. Or saying that this is the way that we're expecting you to do these things. Or at least certain things which are non-negotiable. So I think that clarity was not there. We never wrote it. Obviously we were small, and these things I think you learn over time. So you struggle. So there was a lot of hiring, and then you realize that this is not the right guy. Even though the skills were amazing, but there was a mismatch in the value. There was a mismatch in the exact style of how they work. And something that you didn't want to compromise on. And over the years, I also feel that you also learned, right? So some things that earlier when I remember hiring a guy from ISB, super smart guy. And, he was like, okay, we're going to hire 35 people in the sales team. And we had 4 back then. And I was like, oh my God, this guy has gone crazy. And he doesn't understand, he's, in the air. And later as we started to go ahead, and then I started to realize that what he said had a lot of merit. So, I think it's a two-way journey. So obviously you have to tell the professionals, but also, are you ready to really understand the professionals, right? And that also is a journey in itself, which you have to go through. There's no rocket science to directly help you learn that journey. So, for some it's easier than others, and I think if you worked in a professional organization before, that really helps. So that's why I think a lot of families now ask people to sort of work in other places, because that brings in a lot of things that they see there, and it's easy to adapt in the organization. But unfortunately in my case that was not, so to learn the hard way on some of these things.
I have been lucky enough to work in a big 4 MNC right after my education, so that it gave me the experience that I needed to change not I would say change, but to transform the way things worked at my organization, right? I mean, I remember there were instances when I had joined the business, I had requested for an audit just to see how the operations are efficient, not efficient, or on what level they are. And there were discussions around, because we have been, number one in what we do over the last so many years. But at that time, there were discussions about, कि हम नंबर 1 है और हम अगर किसी कंसल्टेंट या ऑडिट को लाके हमारे सिस्टम्स चेक करवाएंगे तो मार्केट में ऐसा ना जाए कि भाई इनको खुद पर अभी कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है कि इनके ऑपरेशंस कैसे हैं, सही है नहीं है, इवन आफ्टर बीइंग नंबर 1. सो बट at the bottom of it, I know it is not about I'm questioning the systems and the process. Correct. It's about if there is any more, there is always room to get better, right? Yeah. I mean, but there is a way of working in which your company has been doing over the last so many years. You can always improve on that. So my experience at that company really helped me to navigate through all these challenges that I faced. Tell me something about any large risk that you took over the last 19 years, which you also were not confident about, but you took it because your risk appetite is, generally high, and your siblings or your father were also a bit confused कि ये कर तो रहे हैं पर ये सही होगा नहीं होगा. Some large risks that you have taken. छोटी मोटी रिस्क तो हर entrepreneur को लेनी पड़ती है, but something which sort of has done some transformational work to your business.
So I would say that when we opened, so we were always a B2B business. And, after convincing myself many years, I said, okay, no, the consumer business is also a large business and we should start. So we started with one store in Delhi. And obviously retail is not easy. And the first year was a decent bit of loss. And after the first year and a half, all my sisters and my father, they were like, please shut this down because you're going to pull away all the profits of the business. And I somehow was convinced that this will work eventually. So, they were adamant that I should shut it down. And I said, okay, now give me 50 more lakhs or, by the end of the year, if this doesn't break even or we're not profitable, I'll shut it down. So then obviously I had to take it up as a challenge to really then push and see how do we make it work and put much more efforts to see how to make it work. And thank God, I mean, I did that because now a significant part of our business is coming from the consumer business. So we have 10 stores in India, 4 outside of the country. And this continues to be the biggest driver of growth for our business currently.
Wow. But what made you take that risk? Like what pushed you to think that I want to, go ahead into making this as a B2C brand now?
So, I mean, you saw India evolving. And, you saw that people had money. You saw that people in India were buying cars much more expensive than they were outside of the country. So, like, they have more money than maybe some of the Europeans and the Americans, right? And we were making the best carpets for all over the world. And I was like, there's no way why a person would not use that product in India. Also, at the same time, what I saw was several people buying our carpets from our Dubai customer or our Italian customer or our Turkish customer. So I was like shocked that these people are going to Turkey or to Italy or to Dubai and they end up buying a product that is made by me and bringing it back to the country, being told as if they were buying a product made in Iran or Turkey. So I knew that there was a market, and it was just about how do you get to these people, right? I mean, that's the most difficult task. And it took a while to figure out, but yeah, we slowly got there.
So when you pitched this idea to your father, what was his reaction?
No, he actually, honestly, he was a very supportive person at the beginning, right? Because his vision was always how do we eliminate the middlemen and have the consumer and, the customer talk. So that was always his vision from the beginning. And this retail in my head was always also like trying to fulfill his vision. Because retail is a new business. It's not easy. And we had zero knowledge of retail, right? So coming from a B2B background, so we started a store with not knowing the basics of retail. So the first few years were very difficult, right? So again, it is that you go through that journey and you learn and how to make it work. And once you get involved, you somehow today, if I look back at it, I would get professionals and do it slightly differently to make my life easy. But I'm glad I didn't do it because then that journey makes you learn so much more, and help you grow. So you might grow a little slowly, and it might take a longer time. But I think it matures you as a person quite a bit.
So your siblings are also a part of the retail business, or they are still focusing on the B2B business?
So we have 5 siblings. 3 of my siblings run the US company. And then I only have one sister here and she heads design. So she heads design for both B2B and B2C, like both the consumer business also. So it's quite simple that ways.
So now we move to a very interesting section of the podcast. It's a rapid fire. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the first business rapid fire that you're getting into.
Absolutely.
So don't think much on the answers, just answer whatever comes to you.
Sure.
One thing only a family business kid will understand.
Bringing business disagreements to dining tables.
What's your founder's reaction or your dad's reaction when you disagree with them?
I think they think they're always right.
Okay. What's the founder's reaction when you are right?
I think they're very proud.
Okay, this is a good one. Craziest feedback you have got from a family member about your work?
Slow down.
Slow down. Okay. One thing you'll keep from the old way of doing business and one thing you'll never go back to?
I think keep the value system intact, but definitely make the business professional.
Okay. Okay, the last question. I hope you watch a lot of movies, by the way, for this one. If your family business was a movie or an OTT show, which one would it be?
I'd like to say hum saath saath hain.
Okay, that's a good one. I had a great time, Yogesh, and knowing and learning so much about carpets. Till today, I've just seen them in stores, but to come here and to experience the stories behind each of the carpet that you have shown me, it's just fascinating. And I think what it really tells me is that there is so much of creativity that has gone into making each of the piece that is here. So it has been an amazing experience. So thank you for having me here and thank you for doing this. It's really been an honor.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm so excited and look forward for it to be ready and live and seeing our conversation. But so nice to meet you also. And
Absolutely.
thank you for doing this. Keep doing this. I think it's family businesses need to tell a lot more of what we're doing to help some of the other ones. And I think there's a lot of learning from each other. And I equally got to learn a lot from you today. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.